Welcome to Aspen, Pitkin County Airport, located in Colorado. This video is part 5 of a 5-part series that I've been doing the past few weeks on the most challenging airports to fly in or out of in the United States as reported from airline pilots, or any pilot in general. Of the 10 I came up with, I selected 5, and this is number 5. If you haven't seen my previous video of the departure out of here, it's an obstruction clearance, just click. I'll put the at the end of the video, you'll see a click box there. You can click on that and view it. I would highly recommend to check that out, because when we take off from here, we're going to fly that same obstruction clearance chart out before we get on to flying this localizer DME back into the airport. We're going to cover that shortly after this little introduction. Again, my name is Steve. This is Flight Quest 40 at Aspen, Pitkin County Airport. Well, we're really not in Aspen, but we're in Pennsylvania in my home simulator. Of course, my channel is about home simulator flying for simulator pilots that are non-pilots, and also as well as simulator pilots who are rated pilots, whether you're a private pilot, commercial, or instrument rated. You'll notice a lot of my videos have to do with approaches, flying instruments, hand flying instruments for proficiency. But let's talk about Aspen, Colorado here. What makes this airport challenging? Obviously, it's the elevation of the airport at 7,820 feet. You can see it here in my screen of my simulator, my home simulator, and we'll see more of that here shortly. What happens is, with this airport being located in between the peaks and in this valley, there's one way in and one way out. Runway 15 is the one way in, and runway 33 is the way out. Runway 15 has left traffic, and runway 33 has right traffic for the traffic pattern altitude, the ways that we make our turns to onto downwind leg, base leg, and final, and so forth, and our upwind legs in there. What are some of the other areas that we're going to look at? One of the problems is that with the airport located in this mountainous area and the terrain, the 3 H's, high, hot, and heavy, we have treacherous wind situations. We could have possible wind shear depending on current weather or incoming weather or departing weather. So there's a lot of things that we need to look at prior to leaving, prior to coming in, or during an operation. We have to take all of those in there. Having knowledge of the area is probably the biggest key. The 3 H's, high, hot, and heavy. High altitude airport creates a high density. We don't mean density, denser air, but the airplane is acting as though it's at a higher altitude. Normally aspirated engine in your airplane. Obviously, the airplane is going to have a significantly reduced amount of performance. Not only the engine, but the wing and the airflow over the wing. Creates longer ground rolls, creates faster ground roll speeds, creates faster speeds over the ground. Even though our indicated airspeed, we are flying those noted speeds that we predicted prior to departure or landing in there. Obviously, if the temperature is hot, that just adds to the condition of a higher elevation type airport. High humidity, high temperature, high elevation, heavy airplane, 3 passengers, 1 pilot, a little extra baggage right at the gross weight of the airplane. We may not be able to meet the climb gradients. We may not even be able to roll the airplane off the runway prior to the end of the runway. So we need to take a look at all those performance requirements, either by reducing our weight, kicking out a passenger or two, or throwing all their garbage out the airplane, all the trinkets and all the things that they bought while in Aspen, Colorado during their ski trip. Yeah, let's reduce the weight. Wait till the morning time. Wait till later in the evening. Have as much going for you as you possibly do as a pilot flying in and out of Aspen, Colorado. The other thing being that the airport is nestled within this mountainous terrain and this valley is that with the thin air, possibly warmer temperatures, the performance issues, the approach coming into 15 is steeper than normal. It's, or I shouldn't say steeper than normal, but steeper than a general standard approach into the airport. So these can create optical illusions. This could create a miscalculation in your distance as you're coming in. So as forth, there is an optical illusion I've seen a video on it that a corporate jet landed on the grass next to runway 15, coming in for approach. The optical illusion, for some reason, the pilot thought he was landing on the runway, but they were actually landing on the grass. I don't know what kind of corporate airplane it was. It was a jet, but grass didn't do so well for a landing, and the outcome wasn't as good as it could have been had they chose to look at the runway and identifier lights maybe and choose that area in between those lights to land instead of to one side of the runway and identifier lights. I don't know the whole situation, but it has happened. The other is the unpredictable winds and the weather. The winds could come in. We can have a headwind one moment. We could have a tailwind the next moment. We could have wind shear with an updraft or downdrafts. So it's very important to know the airport, know the geographical area, and call ahead. Use the airport facility directory. You get the telephone number. Talk to somebody before you come in if you've never been in. Okay? I think that with all that, steep approaches, unpredictable weather, tailwinds, one way in, one way out. There's also qualifications that pilots have to have a special qualification to operate in and out of this airport. Not only flying in and flying out, but operating on the ground also in there. So you'll find those in the airport facility directory. I'm going to pull that up and we're going to take a look at a few of those things here. The reason why I'm going through all of this is because it's a very specialized airport. The more information, not that I'm teaching you or training you how to fly in and out of this airport. I've never flown into it or out of it myself in my real flying aviation days. Although I'd always wanted to come to Colorado. I don't think I've ever been in the state of Colorado. Maybe once driving through. Anyway, let's take a look at some of those reports and remarks that we can find airport facility directory. Okay, thank you very much. I'll see you on the other side of this. Okay, welcome back. Well, let's take a look at the other remarks. We'll just highlight some of the important things that we talked about, what makes this airport so challenging. One is terrain will not allow for normal traffic patterns. High rates of descent may be required due to terrain and local procedures. Well, remember that's one way in and one way out, runway 15 and runway 33, which may be a requirement at times. Airport located in high mountain valley with mountainous terrain from 12,500 to 14,000 feet MSL in near proximity to the airport. Numerous unlighted obstructions. Wonderful. All adverse weather situations magnified in mountains. Operations during periods of reduced visibility discouraged for pilots unfamiliar with this area. Well, that could be a lot of us. Uncontrolled traffic on ramps. Runway 33 run-up area is not visible from the air traffic control tower. Another important thing for all general aviation operations between 30 minutes after sunset to 2300 Zulu time, the following applies. Aircraft equipped as required under FAR Part 91-205 Subpart D for instrument flight, pilot is instrument rated. Well, for instrument flight, that sounds right. VFR, pilot in command, has completed at least one takeoff or landing in the preceding 12 months at Aspen, Alpha Sierra Echo. Look at IFR, execute, approach, and departure procedures with ATC clearance. So we have to have an ATC clearance to meet the requirements to be able to fly into this airport. Unless ceilings are at least 2,000 feet above the highest terrain and visibility is 15 miles or more, mountain flying is not recommended. Pilots are responsible for passengers in the ramp area. Pedestrians and vehicles cannot enter taxiways without ATC clearance. Stay on the solid side of the red boundary marking lines, and you'll see those at the taxiways. This is a cold temperature airport. Altitude correction required at or below minus 21 Celsius. Birds and wildlife, that goes without saying. Arriving aircraft from 2000 or 8 o'clock, I guess, or 2300 local must announce on the Common Traffic Advisory frequency when they are 20, 15, 10, and 5 miles out and on short final. That's because equipment may be on the runway. Review airplane performance recommended, including density, altitude, weight and balance, and climb performance. Now we did our weight and balance. We did our climb performance. We checked our charts with the elevation and with the temperatures and so forth to make sure that we can meet these climb requirements. If we can't, then we're either going to reduce fuel, which probably we can't do. We can reduce weight, removing pilots, removing baggage, luggage. Due to high approach minimums, pilots may need an IFR alternate, even though weather is forecast to be higher than 2,003 miles visibility. Let's take a look at our departure. We're here at runway 33, or taxi out. We've already covered this in the previous video. After departure, right turn 343, 9,100, left turn 273. We will intercept the back course on 108.5 with the heading of 303, approximately to keep us on, well, that's our bearing there, the localizer bearing in there. Use any heading that you need to for your wind correction angle. We are only going to go to Lindsay, which is this mark right here. Departure, again, 343, 273. Notice there's a holding pattern here. Since now we're going to fly the localizer in, this is for obstruction. My previous video we did a holding pattern here. Once we get here, we're going to go approximately 030 on a northeastern heading to get ourselves set up for localizer DME going into Aspen, Pitkin County Airport. Let's take a look at that approach plate now. Here we're looking at this. This is that back course we're going to intercept. Back course heading out is 303. Use whatever heading we need to for wind correction angles. Here's that holding pattern. We're going to depart off of here. Now once we get, we're not going to do the holding pattern, but once we're outbound at approximately 12.6 or 13 DME per the obstruction chart, we'll set up for our localizer inbound. So that means we're going to switch things over. The localizer will be 111.15. We're going to have DME on this, so we want to make sure our DME is identified. We do have red table VOR. We have a cross radial of 232. We're going to climb to flight level 13400, and I will be doing self-vectoring more or less to get in there. But I did install a holding pattern here at Ajax just to use as a procedure turn. We're going to take a look at that on little nav map, but I'm going to keep this chart available for me. We got flight level 13,400, 12,900, 12,300. These are step down fixes. There's no glide slope. Angle of descent once we get into this area is 6.59 degrees. That's a bit of more than standard of the standard 3 degrees, which is 2.6 nautical miles from the approach. And we will proceed with the missed approach, which is a climbing right turn to 14,000 feet, flight level 140, on a heading of 300. Get back on the localizer, and then we're going to head to Linz, and then we would go out to Gleno. This is a holding pattern, different than the obstruction. They have them separated. And that's pretty much the approach. We've got all of our frequencies in. Everything is set, and we are good to go. We've done the engine run-ups. We've got our clearance, so we're able to taxi out of here. Departure right here, out. There's that little right turn. And then here's our left turn. Once we get back here, unlike the previous video, we did the holding pattern here, and I said that I would pick up with the video at that point and fly this, but we're just going to fly this out. here is my heading of a 030 approximately going. We're going to go direct to Ajax, and I'm going to use this as a procedure turn. So in the little nav map, I can just click on that, and it says add holding at Ajax. So I did that. I made sure that the inbound course was 151, so that my outbound course is 331. When we get here, it'll be a teardrop entry, 1 minute legs, but then we'll do that left turn. It's a standard holding pattern. Back to Ajax, maybe do one more turn in holding, then we'll proceed on with the approach. If everything's good, I might, just for time's sake, just do the teardrop entry, go out a little bit further, and then come inbound and get ourselves situated. Once we're situated, here's our Ajax, here's Jargo, here's KASE, Fismo, here's Dopey, I guess I'll call it Dopey. Final approach fix. We'll start getting ourselves configured. Proceed inbound for a landing on runway 15, probably with a slight tailwind. Hopefully everything goes good. I have the weather is pretty good so that we can see all the terrain. So at that point, let's get ourselves taxiing. I have all the radios and the nav aids all set up. I do have my departure in here. I do have my approach into the 530. I've got 108 in first for the back course going out for the obstruction clearance. We know our altitudes, we know our headings. Runway heading on my OBS here for the HSIs on runway heading 33. I do have that right turn on the heading bug. I do have the DME set to Navaid, or my Navcom unit here for number 2, so I can get the distance from that for Lindsay. Once we get to Lindsay and we do that right turn, we're going to configure for the localizer DME. So in nav number 1, we'll take a look at our chart that we can get the heading and everything set up for the inbound course or the holding pattern that we have established. Now you may not see that holding pattern here on the Garmin because I didn't set one up in here, but I'm going to use a little nav map and just kind of wing it, no pun intended. From that point, we do have a cross radio that's going to come off of this view. I think it's 232. So I've got ground control set there. I've got ATIS set here. I have control tower set there. So once I'm done with the ground control, I'll go to tower, and then I'll have approach. And then I can come back to tower, and then we can come back to comm 2. So everything's set up with the sequence. If I need my time, I do have my yokes down here. I do have the clock on the yoke, and we are ready to go. Like I said before, all the engines are running. All of our checks have been done. My run-up is complete. I'm going to spare you from going through the cliff check and the gump check because we are ready to go, and we'll just get our takeoff clearance from runway 33. Okay, we got our clearance to taxi. There's that red line that they mentioned. And we need to stay on the yellow line as usual. There's that mountain there in front of us.
modest tranquility. Said I made up my mind this time. I'm taking it over.
Okay, compass is good. Lights are on. Instrument set, flaps there. Gas is on. Undercarriage handle down. Mixtures forward. Props are forward. Fuel pumps are on. We are ready to go. And one last look at the approach. Runway 33. Right turn 343. Heading bug set. Traffic's clear, nothing on the left. Looking to the right, kind of hard to see at the angle. We do have our takeoff clearance. We are on 118.5. Yep, we talked to them. And then departures 118 point. Sorry, departures 123.8. Let me change that real quick. Now we are set. Okay, if we lose an engine before rotation, we're going to close the throttle, stop the airplane. If it's after and with suitable runway remaining, we'll go ahead and close the throttles and land on the rest of the airplane, or rest of the remaining runway. We'll accelerate to VMC +5 for rotation. If anything happens after that, then we'll maintain a blue line. Lose an engine, single engine procedures, mixtures forward, throttles forward. Mixtures forward, props forward, throttles forward, flaps up, gear up. Maintain blue line. Identify, verify. Zero side slip, maintain blue line. Cleared for takeoff.
Attention all aircraft. Aspen, Buchan County Field. Information. X-ray current. Altimeter 3038.
Okay, climb checks. Lights off. Booster stay rich right now. Props, let's go to 25 for climb. We're at blue line. Now that we're on the heading, the next turnout is going to be about 030, so I'm going to go ahead and change this. I already know what I'm going to be doing. Let's go. Syncs on. Yaw damper on. Climb rate 1,000 feet. At blue line. We're okay now. Climb checks. Lights are off. Mixture set. Props are set. Gear is up. Flaps are up. Blue line. Intercept heading 273. Localizer's been identified. 11,500. Going to 13,400. Make that right turn at Lindsay. Localizer's alive. Let's go ahead and take off the scene views for now. Still a blue line because we're climbing, maybe a little bit faster now. There's my localizer. Right turn, intercepted outbound. A beautiful view out there. Put the right scene up for just a moment. God, we've gone through localizer a little bit, but let's go ahead and re-intercept. About 1,000 feet to go. On the DME, nav number 1, that's verified. There's no buzzer. Got some nice views. Put this back on there. Little mountain range out there. 100 to go. Kind of smooth air today. Nice for a flight. Okay, there's for nose level. Airspeed's increasing. Trim for that airspeed. Good forward pressure. I like to hold it in as long as I can. I'll start trimming some of that off. .5 on the DME for 12.6. Maybe I can do this hands-off controls. Let's see. She's coming in. Battery's set right out there. Props. Let's bring the props back to about. Well, let's go with about 2,000. Now we do have the cross radial in here. That radial was 244, and we have that in there, 240, 250, 244. So if the DME went out, we would have this cross radial from that is red table VOR. Double check my chart here. I don't know if you can see what I have here. There she is. Very good. Okay, cruise checks. Lights are off, gears up, flaps are up, power is set, fuel pumps off, one at a time. Altitude check. And let's lean the mixtures out. Push my EGT, which is right here. Getting ready for our right turn. We do have the heading bug in there. Okay, we're going to make that right turn now. Heading 030 to Ajax. Now if I want to, since I am monitoring this, we can go to our flight plan. And let's put Ajax in there and go direct. Ajax, activate. And that'll give us a course to Ajax. Got a heading of 030 that we estimated. Start getting ready for the ILS. Now this is going to come in pretty quickly. I always notice there's a bunch of updrafts and downdrafts in this area, but once again, the chart that I brought up, I'm going to use it right here to get myself set up. First of all, approach is 123.8, we're on there, 13,400 feet. Localizer should be 111.15, that's in the secondary. We'll switch that over. Get that identified. Tune, twist, 150. Approximately 151. Okay, DME. Looking at Ajax, we are just a little bit right. Okay. Good. Compass is set. Circles are good. Everything's in green. I think I'm going to go ahead and close my cow flaps here a bit. Good enough. Okay, let's take a look at little nav maps so that we can identify our holding pattern to get our course. Looks like the outbound leg is approximately 330 degrees, so that'll give us a teardrop entry. So let's see what 30 degrees would be. Is it going to be to the left of 331? That would give me a heading of 315. No, that would put me there, so it's going to be, we want to have an angle into it, so we have to have up here, so that'll be a heading of about 360 for a teardrop entry. Turn, time, twist, throttle, talk, inbound, get our 1 minute leg in here. If everything's good, we may proceed on with the instrument approach, since that's what this video is all about, not really holding in here. I just put this in here for reference to get us turned around instead of doing this right turn in here. It gives us just a little bit more time. This is not on any chart. This is a custom made thing that I added into little nav map. Okay, I think we are ready. Again, the heading will be 360. Also, sure it is. So the heading up will go to 360. Now we get our time started. Left turn now, 360. And we let approach know that we are procedure turn outbound. Yes, 360. Tune, yes, we got the correct frequency in. Twist, 151. Teardrop entry heading is absolutely 360. Time has been started. Since I know I overshot a little bit, I'm going to just do a half standard rate. Be watching for our nav flag. We can start briefing ourselves in the approach. Okay, we should be at 13,400 feet. First fix is going to be Ajax. Ajax, we can descend down to 12,900. Then another 600 feet down, 12,300. Got a nav flag here, but that'll come back in. We're just doing a slow standard rate turn. We'll start slowing the airplane down. Bring out some power. As we do, the nose will drop through. Beautiful views out there. The sky's nice and blue with a little bit of haze. Nav flag to come alive. I'm just going to shallow out about 30 degrees. Normally I would have that holding pattern depicted here on the GPS, but again, it's a custom made holding pattern. We are about to see why this airport is the most challenging. The localizer is coming alive. And we let Aspen approach know we are inbound. We can hold 13,400 to 13.1 DME. Landing checks. Compass is good. 151. Lights on. Instruments all in the equalizer set, inbound course set, no flags, no glide slope. Set my heading bug to the inbound course. Looking for 13.1. I'm starting to see the runway up here. Go ahead and get rid of these seams here. We can come down to 12,900. Here's 13.1. Power's going to come down. Get out of hand. 7.9. Still a little high. Airspeed's good. There's 7 DME. We can come down to 98.40. 7.1's final approach fix. Flap speed's good. Gear's coming down. Power because of the gear. And we need to have this airport in sight by 4 DME. 5.6. I do have the airport in sight. As you can see, it is quite a steep approach coming in. It's right there. We want to land on the grass. There's 11,000. And then at least 99,900. Airspeed looks good. 3 green. Verify. Runway's in sight. There's 4 DME. Let's start picking up the KASE. Gas. Undercarriage. Original props. Flaps come in full. Steep approach. We've got a high rate of descent coming on. At this point, I'm going to start picking up the tappy. Gas is on, gear is down, everything's set. I'm going to head remove the yokes. Utilizing localizer. Airspeed swelling. This is a challenging approach. Coming in with a little bit of power now. Here's our KASE. Happy. Runway 15. Tower cleared us to land. Blue line. Cleared land. clear this line right here. And contact ground control over to COM 2. And there we are. Okay, let's taxi to parking. Meanwhile, flaps go up. Stay on the yellow line for parking. Fuel pumps are off. Mixture's leaned out. The landing light is off. Might as well turn off the yaw damper and the prop sync. And let's do a left turn here for our parking. Welcome to Aspen, Colorado. There's some tall pine trees. Well, I'm glad we got some training before we came in. It's some pretty good VFR conditions for once. Well, thanks again for driving with Flight Quest 40. We hope you enjoyed the flight. If you have any questions or any thoughts, leave your comments in there. Feel free to subscribe, it's free. Hit the thumbs up if you thought this was enjoyable. Let me know if you attempted to fly this yourself. I hope everything was very succinct and with good information. Once again, this is Steve from Flight Quest. Have a great day. Whew. And parking brake on. Okay, there you go. The many challenges of Aspen Pitkin Airport here in Colorado, flying the localizer DME-E. Once again, thank you for flying with Flight Quest 40. We hope you enjoyed the flight. Like I said, once again, hit the subscribe button. There'll be more videos coming out in the next week and the weeks after. And hit that thumbs up. I'm actually tired. That was pretty tough. All the DMEs, all the altitude step down fixes that we had really kind of brought reality into the picture. So once again, thumbs up. Thank you. We'll see you soon. Welcome to Aspen County. Blah, blah, blah. Welcome to Aspen Pitkin. Okay, here we go. Another area of the problem is the 3 H's. High, hot, and what's the other H? One way in, one out. Density altitude, the 3H is high, hot, and heavy. We had a high elevation airport at 7,280 feet. 7,800. Well, we have a high altitude airport. Another one of the challenges is the steep approach and the missed approach. The approach is steeper than standard. I think making it, it's kind of when you're at a steeper angle, it's a little bit more different to judge your distances and so forth. So you got to, okay, cut that whole thing. Let's start over. Welcome to Aspen, Pitkin, Colorado. We also have steep approaches that come into the airport. You know what? Forget that. Let's go back to 1, 2, or 3. We're good.